And now for the lighting of the torch of good sportsmanship. Please join me in welcoming Snail Racing's first ever champion, Lightning Larry Luciano.
Would you look at that, folks? Lightning Larry Luciano, a living legend, slowly making his way center stage. And what a proud moment for this sport. The crowd is going absolutely nuts for Larry. He's almost there. Yes, sirree. Any minute now. 2 hours later.
The torch is lit. Let the race begin.
Now I know what most of you are thinking. Why did you use a clip from the Great Snail Race? That episode sucked. Well, you're right. It does. And that's why I wanted to use it. To remind people what true bad episodes are. Mean-spirited, poorly paced, unfunny, contrived, poorly written, and I feel the need to repeat mean-spirited pieces of shit that should have been tossed out when the director or writer or actor looked at the script and said, hey, this kinda sucks. Because Equestria Games does not suck. Yeah, that was what I was leading to. Yeah, a lot of people didn't like this episode, mostly due to the fact that it wasn't centered on the games and instead we got an episode mostly focused on Spike and his self-confidence issues. It didn't help that we had just had a Spike episode the week before. Defenders of the episode say that it couldn't focus on the games since we already saw them in Rainbow Falls, and also that episode pretty much made it impossible for any of the main characters to compete in the games except Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy. And you know what? As someone who loves this episode, I don't agree.
What?
Yeah, I think they could have done an episode focused on the games. I was kinda hoping they would just pretend Rainbow Falls never happened. Because really, would any of you have actually cared? But maybe they could have done something else. Maybe have Rainbow get into a competition with another player. Perhaps Gilda or Lightning Dust. Yeah, we didn't see them in Rainbow Falls, but what if they were alternates for another team? I mean, we saw a Griffin team there. Or if that's not good enough for you, have Fluttershy try to prove herself. Make the story focus on her. Or hell, maybe even have the story focus on Bulk Biceps. That would have been awesome if they did it right. But anyway, plenty of people have said why this episode is good or bad because of the games. Plenty of people have said why this episode is good or bad because of the actual story. That's the problem with coming in this late. You don't have any new things to say. So instead, I'm just going to explain why I personally love this episode so much. Although I think even that has been done. Yes, there are plenty of reasons I like the episode. It has plenty of funny moments, the story is unpredictable, the climax is really thrilling, and Spike's conflict is believable. But the reason I love this episode so much is because of the moral.
You know, it's kind of weird. No matter how many times others tell you you're great, all the praise in the world means nothing if you don't feel it inside. Sometimes to feel good about yourself, you've got to let go of the past. That way, when the time comes to let your greatness fly, you'll be able to light up the whole sky.
Alright, I'm going to tell you a little story to explain why this moral is, in my opinion, the best moral in the entire show. Or at least the one that I can relate to the most. So if you don't want to hear the story and want to know my final scores, writing gets an 8, production gets a 9, and enjoyment gets a 9. So, here we go. The weekend this episode aired was the week before I had to show my final video project I had been working on all semester to an audience for my editing class. I had shown some clips of the project a few weeks earlier, and, to be honest, I hated them. I really hated them. I wanted to burn them. But everyone else in the class seemed to like them, kept telling me they couldn't wait for my project, and to put it simply, I was my own worst critic, much like Spike was in this episode. I spent most of my time trying to get this project as perfect as I could. In fact, I was in the editing room when I watched the episode. Just before I started watching, I told myself that the project was crap. Everyone thinks it's crap, and they're just being nice and telling me it's going to be good. I was actually considering just giving up and failing. This moral was something I needed right at that moment. In fact, when it was over, I spent the next 2 hours working as hard as I could to make it great. When I finished it a few days later, I felt proud of myself. While there were a few things I didn't like, for the most part, I was satisfied with it. And when I showed everyone who would come to watch our short films in the auditorium, do you know what happened? Everyone loved it! It got the biggest reaction of all the videos, and people kept telling me how great it was. And when they told me, I believed them, because I was actually proud of what I created. And to think I was considering giving up. If you don't like this episode, I get it. I really do. I still hold a bit of a grudge against It's About Time for wasting potential, so I can totally see where you're coming from. And yes, the episode has its problems. Spike getting stage fright all of a sudden felt a little contrived. It could be kinda mean-spirited at times, although I don't care what anyone said. The Cloudsdale anthem was awesome. And yes, the fact that they hyped these games up so much just to give us an episode where they were basically shoved into the background was a bit disappointing. It's basically the same as the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. Yes, we could have gotten something amazing if they went one way, but I'm more than happy with what we got instead. All I'm asking is for you to see where I'm coming from. The episode came out at just the right moment, and for that, I will be forever grateful. Thank you, Equestria Games, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.
Now am I wrong for trying to reach the things that I can't see?